Men who have had many wives slash GFS. Over say 5. What can you say about your experiences? 1. If you fail in different relationships due to your revolving patterns, e.g., jealousy, tantrums, distrust, unfaithfulness etc. Closed bracket comma. It is up to you to fix your traumas. No partner should do this for you, nor can they fully do it for you. 2. Every relationship uncovers hidden gems and rocks in your personality. You get to know yourself better each time. You know what you like and what you don't. 3. If you see revolving negative patterns of your different significant others, it could be you who is seeking those out subconsciously. All of it only works if you take honest inventory of yourself while being in a relationship or after breaking up. If you don't ask yourself about it, nobody will be able to show you. You would be deemed to repeat history all over again until you are ready to ask and be willing to know the answer. I saw this is my one relationship. My partner would never acknowledge the things that got her to this point where she was. I also learned some things about myself. If anything, it taught me the importance of acknowledging what people did to you get you to a certain point vs the things you do to keep yourself there. Also, self-reflection is so key. It's important to evaluate yourself objectively. My motto moving forward is it's not your fault for ending up in a particular situation, but choosing to stay there and complain about it all the time is your fault. Apostrophe. Always trust that little voice in your head when it tells you that something doesn't feel right. Unless you have relationship anxiety, then it gets a bit more complicated to trust your gut. Overall good advice though. I have ignored my gut to my detriment before. True indeed. It's more a general recommendations, but indeed one should take that into account. Right. From personal experience with relationship anxiety, one of my compulsive behaviors is to Google stuff and troll threads like this trying to find the perfect answer to my current obsession, which of course never works. I could just picture someone like me in a more anxious state seeing trust your gut and spiraling into a beat myself up fest for not being able to do something a lot of people consider intuitive. And yeah, I've been in therapy slash treatment most of my life. It's a process, haha. They are all different experiences. They all made me a better partner for the next relationship. Learning this and that. Picking up different abilities and tricks. Learning and adapting is what humans do. Of course some things that work in one relationship won't work in all of them. And learning what does work from relationship to relationship is a trick. But as you go from one to the next the learning process is quicker. Or should be at least. I'm a better man, person, human and father than I was, and it's the women in my life that have spent the time and energy with me that have made me who I am. Came here to say this. Only had one wife, but many GFS in my youth. Each relationship is a learning experience. If you find the same patterns repeating, you need to do some work on yourself. I made shitloads of mistakes, but had lots of good experiences too. The key though is continuous reflection and improvement regardless of the hash of so's. Absolutely. Dating is like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more taste you develop. You learn a lot about yourself and relationships in general. If say one of the biggest lessons is the difference between shared values, shared interests, and compatibility, and how to seek out a balance of those factors in a partner. It also teaches you to be flexible and appreciate a partner for their strengths, rather than a checklist you're trying to fill. When you're young, you seek out people with similar interests, but quickly realize that sharing activities together doesn't always equate to growing together, though it is convenient to not compete for how you spend your free time. As you get older, if you're more interested in something long-term and serious, you look for shared values. While this is definitely necessary for planning for the future and avoiding arguments, it doesn't foster the relationship on its own. If you're not careful, you can turn you into glorified roommates. I feel like compatibility is one of the unsung heroes of relationships. A lot of compatibility feels like bargaining, which doesn't have a particularly romantic veneer to it. But being able to live a life that balances one another's needs not only makes day-to-day life pleasant, it creates a dance in which you are devoting regular energy to making your partner happy and receiving that energy in return. To add to the compatibility point, Communication styles is one of the most important, but often most difficult things to find in a relationship. I'm married now, but had 7 girlfriends before I tied the knot, not including my wife. Each woman taught me a lot about relationships and what I really wanted in a woman. One thing that I found very interesting is that the women I dated who came from dysfunctional upbringings usually valued relationships much more than women who came from normal backgrounds. They got really pissed off when they all found out about each other. Did you get pissed too when you found out about her other boyfriends? No, he fucked them all at the same time. In theory, by the time the last one is over, you'll know you want something different next time. So what I've learned is that mostly I should just wing it. I prefer all my women to be over the age of 5. Upvote for the comment and username. Upvote for upvoting for the comment and username. Upvote for 4. Having sex early on can be a downfall to a relationship. If both of you are focused on getting tail, you might be stymied in forming a more lasting bond. You date when you are young to determine what you like and what potential red flags are. Don't settle for something unless it is exactly what you are looking for. Find out if you are exactly what the other person wants, because they might not feel the same. You may have to let go of someone you love because they don't feel the same. Don't be bitter about it. Thank them for their honesty and hope that they will find their soulmate. Good advice. Advice I did not heed and married someone totally incompatible with me. I'm now pretty miserable, but we have 2 young children and there is no way I'm letting my kids be raised by some other dude. So if you divorce, the courts would automatically give custody to your partner. What percentage of men get custody of their children? It's not high, I know that much. I also would not want to deprive my children of seeing their mother or father every day. Children need both. It's varied, I guess. They were very different from each other in many ways. Similar in other ways too. I wouldn't consider 5 to be that many, but you'll definitely look back and like certain exes more so than others depending on the situation you had with each individual. I don't really think about my exes much, or even the memories I had w them. Over the years they become sort of afterthoughts at best. With that being said, every guy has that one girl who either got away from them or they wish they could done things differently. Usually it's the first love or maybe even the most recent one. But it's the kind of girl you just sometimes have a quiet moment to yourself. Something small and insignificant reminds you of her, and you can't help but think, what if? This scares me so much to be plan B. I had a bad run. Mostly found myself dating abusive narcissists and cheaters. Take it from me, gents, if you don't learn from your experience you'll keep making the same mistakes. I also learned that not everyone is a diamond in the rough just in need of a chance to shine. Most of the time, like 98%, what you see is what you get. Most people don't have more to offer, and most people aren't hiding some kind of gem. So don't take the chance that you've met the 2%. Take people at face value and judge accordingly. They'll all annoy you in one way or another. Eventually, you just need to decide what you're willing to put up with. Yup. God bless the broken road that led me to my wife. No failed relationship is a waste of time if you have the right attitude. Every time you are dumped, or mistreated, or cheated on, or realize that there's no future there, that's an opportunity. You either find an area of yourself you need to work on, recognize something that you don't want in a partner, realize that there's something specific you want in a relationship, etc. Don't hold on for dear life in a dysfunctional relationship. Don't nope out of a relationship because it's not perfect. Don't become indifferent and wait for a relationship to end. Let go of the ideas of romance that you got from Disney movies or rom-coms. Real life is different. Finally, embrace being single. It's the best time for you to improve yourself and your life. The longer you avoid desperately chasing someone to marry you, the better the chance that you're marriage material when you find the right person. Men, if you have a one that got away, more than likely you need therapy to unpack why you're obsessing over that relationship. I know plenty of men in their late 20s-early 30s where every woman is the one that got away until the next one. Then suddenly she's the love of his life and the last one never even existed. Point being, go to therapy, process your breakups, learn from them, and learn to let them go. Great advice. I think being authentic with oneself and their flaws is tough for dudes, given the social expectations around us needing to be these impervious rocks that are perfect, and people actively demonizing men for their expressions of any emotion that's not positive. Thus, therapy is a great thing to help people grieve their breakups, along with a supportive and constructive group of friends, which is worth going out and making. My favorite. Your relationship is something that you both create, and it is not replicable with someone else. Also, you have a relationship personality that is specific to each person you have a relationship with. I'm the problem. All my GFs were over 5. Most of my GFs were over 20 yo. My youngest GF was 16, but I was 16 as well, so shrug. I had 3 good relationships. One ended when she passed away. The other because she wanted kids and I didn't. It was an agreeable breakup, and she's one of my best friends and I'm Uncle Joe to her kids. The last one had to move for work and I wasn't able to follow. The rest of my relationships were a series of train wrecks. My last one was particularly bad, and I have no interest in dating ever again. That should be the text on the back cover of a book. I'm married and only have been once, but before I was married, I did have many short relationships, and about 5 long-term relationships. I guess my judge of character is pretty good, because I've never had a particularly bad experience. I never felt like any of them were hiding any baggage, had some hidden narcissism that would come out later, etc, and I never experienced any emotional abuse. I'm still on good terms with most of my exes, but I don't live close to any of them, or run in the same circles. So I don't really see them anymore. Since I left social media, I don't even know what they're up to anymore. I guess my advice is pretty generic. Communicate about everything. I think I'm pretty good about having meaningful conversations, even ones that may seem uncomfortable at first. But if you can do this, it pretty much limits the ability for surprises. I've dated that girl that's one of the guys. We were best friends before we dated. She was cute, so I had a crush on her. It was fun dating her, and while we did have a physical relationship, I never felt there was any romance. We separated because the dynamic felt more like friends with benefits. Last I heard, she has become sort of a nomadic hippie. Her current boyfriend and her travel around the country in a really nice converted van, and do all sorts of cool outdoor activities. The preacher's daughter. I grew up in a fundamentalist cult. Our preacher was a super nice guy, who was later kicked out for exposing some child abuse by other members, so he was one of the good ones. We were at their house almost every weekend as a kid. He had a daughter 1 year younger than me. Her first name was the same as my last name, so people would always tease us that we'd get married, and she'd have a double name. Anyway, I was never interested, because she felt almost like family. Well, when we got older, we saw each other less, and then one day we met back up as adults and we just really hit it off. After a fun night together, we started dating. Our families were ecstatic when they found out, but it didn't last long. We both wanted very different things. She was anxious to move away from home, to get away from the cult we grew up with, and I had gotten away by going to college and cutting ties, something she wasn't interested in doing. A model from a rich family. I did some modeling in my younger days. We met at a runway show. She stood out from the rest of our peers because she was super nice. That environment can get very toxic and competitive, so it was really cool to have someone be so friendly to me when I was their new guy in this particular circle. We went on several dates. I met her family. Holy yes, her dad was loaded. And we were official for about 6 months before realizing we were both too busy to actually have a meaningful relationship. It was the first time I dated someone taller than me. As a younger guy, this made me feel weird at first, but I got over it pretty soon and now I feel bad that so many guys have that aversion to being with someone taller than them. It did require me to learn some new moves for intimacy though. Make sure you save the best for last cause she'll probably be taking care of you all day. Expensive. Stressful. Hair loss. Poverty. Lots of crying. I've got more grey hair than my dad now. I'll learn to be a better mate from each one. I've made mistakes and I no longer make those mistakes. I was just thinking today that I've been loved by 4 women and feel very fortunate. Well, 3x. One was a crazy bitch. But hey, live and learn. Honesty, respect and communication are key. Also, to state the obvious, all are unique people and have different needs. What is no big deal to one is a total deal breaker to another. My latest GF is lovely, fun and we have insane sparks and love to touch each other, non-sexually as well as sexually, and we share a hobby, golf, and did that for the first time together and it was big fun. 1. Doesn't matter if she's sweet and kind. If she's dumb, she'll be horrible. You can compromise on looks. Never compromise on intelligence and personality. 2. For all the crap women give us, a lot of them are terrible at sex as well. 3. You think you've seen every red flag, but there are also layers to them. 4. Wait a while before getting into a relationship. Wait even longer if you're considering marriage. 5. If it's between her and your dog/friends, choose the dog/friends every time. Yeah, I've already met the best woman for you. Me, a career man who had dozens of partners and many GFS, only to end up happy with the first girl he ever kissed or dated. Maybe you think you'll find a perfect partner when you become your perfect self, but in all likelihood, someone from your same town, with a similar life experience, will be most compatible and familiar to the person you really are deep inside. Having had 5 girlfriends is considered many now. Guess I'm a S with around 4 times that, even despite being shy AF. All I can say about my experiences is that you should definitely avoid toxic women instead of letting them mistreat you, because you're afraid of being alone. The only thing in common your relationships have is you. You are the common denominator. So if you find yourself in multiple toxic relationships, you are not to blame for whatever abuse you went through, but there is something about you, boundaries, needs, etc. that is not healthy and you need to take better care of yourself before you look into finding another relationship. Honestly, every woman is very different from each other, but I feel like I learned that girlfriends/wives are a lot like normal guy friends. Now hold on, in the sense that how well you'll be able to get along with each other just depends on how well the two of you complement each other's traits. I always say, opposites attract, and I notice women who are very opposite to me are the ones I tend to have the easiest time spending a lot of time with and talking to, in regards to how easy it is to make friends, compared to guys and girls. Obviously, it's much more difficult to be friends with a woman, because of the sexual tension that could possibly take place, such as person-1 thinking that the other wants to date when person-2 just wants a friend, or person-1 having a significant other and not wanting to make friends with someone of the opposite gender for obvious reasons.